As well. All right, talk about investment. Senate candidate Terri Lynn Land put in another $650,000 of her own money into her campaign this week. That brings the grand total that she's personally invested to $3.5 million. Now, multiple polls show this race is not close. Republicans have pulled some funding. Why would she invest in this? Are there internal numbers that show that more money could make a difference? I have to admit, I was a little baffled when I saw that this week.
It's a little puzzling. It may be that she feels, this is someone who's lost almost all the rest of her support, as you point out. I mean, the National have pulled out. She would not be on the air, I don't think, this weekend without her own money, and so maybe it's to at least play through and finish the campaign. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about what's going on inside that campaign. I don't think anybody knows what's going on inside that campaign. I can't explain that kind of spend in the last days.
In the last week.
Show that.
You want to take a crack at that, Nolan?
She pledged to spend $5 million when she got into this race. That's what she told the Republican Party she would spend out of her own pocket. So she's not reached that limit yet. I think when she was looking at the governor at 6 and 8 up, she felt there might be a little boost in her own spending. There might be some pull-in effect. I wouldn't be surprised to see some outside money come in to keep that race from going so far that it washes out folks down the ticket. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So the Detroit News came out with their endorsement for Senate, and you, the paper, endorsed Gary Peters. What kind of response are you getting?
Well, probably like Steve's getting. I mean, it was a break from our tradition in terms of political philosophy. We just didn't think she made the case on the campaign trail. We didn't think she was ready, that she had done the preparation work she needed, or that she had presented herself as a competent, confident candidate who could go to Washington and be influential for Michigan. We just, it was a bad campaign, and if you look at campaigns as a job interview, she failed it.
Has this campaign been a surprise to you, Stephen, in terms of how it's gone and how it's kind of ended up?
The Land campaign, I said from the beginning when she got into the race that I was concerned that she was not going to be up to challenging someone like Gary Peters, who I think is far more tested at this level and has had three House terms to get ready for this Senate run. The Republicans would have been better off if someone like Mike Rogers or Dave Camp, both of whom have decided to leave government instead of run for higher office. I think either one of those candidates would be really, really competitive with Gary Peters. Terri Lynn Land was not ever, I think, going to be able to close this deal.
It says something, I think, about politics in general, both parties in this state, that you had an open Senate seat. And remember, when you had an open governor's seat, you had 7 Republicans, 8 Republicans jump in on it, and 2 or 3 Democrats. And this time we had 1 from each party willing to step up and run. And I think that's hurt the process. I think a good, vigorous primary would have helped both of these candidates and would have given Michigan voters a broader choice.
Why? Because it's not a desirable job, or because politics, as usual, kind of stinks when it comes to Washington, D.C.?
If you look at it, I mean, when Rogers and Camp were making their decisions, it didn't look like nobody at that point was really believing Republicans could take the majority. So you'd be going into the Senate as a minority party member. It's the most dysfunctional body in America. Under Harry Reid, he hasn't allowed a vote on a single issue this year. He hasn't allowed amendments on to come to bills. Even Democrats can't get their things to the floor. And people look at them and say, why do I want to spend all my time raising money, which is what you have to do, to sit in here and do nothing?